Hello everyone, welcome to the monthly review for Action April. I don't really have to say much, I really just want to get into this review, so let's do it. Our first game of this month was requested by one of our regulars. Thank you Arcus103 for picking this gem of a game. Vanquish is something that felt bred of a rail shooter and a cover shooter. This game screams arcade, which Platinum, or Sega, can often be known for. But this is from the mind of Shinji Mikami, a notable game designer who has worked on some famous Capcom titles, such as Resident Evil 4, Dino Crisis, and now Tango Gameworks, with Bethesda to create the Evil Within franchise. Before Tango, he worked at Platinum Games and Sega to work on this jewel. This game was a serious blast to play. My playthrough was never filled with wanting to put the game down, even for a smidge. This was mainly due to the player's ability to slide around. It's an amazing mechanic that earned this game's most unique mechanic award by GameSpot. This high-speed slide ability prevents the shooting from becoming stale, and the gameplay from being something that drags on too long. Even during the frustrating moments, this part specifically, it also makes switching weapons, bashing enemies, and running away like a coward absolutely exciting. More abs. Always be sliding. But I must admit, there were a few things this game lacked. First, the art direction wasn't the best. I understand the futuristic city and space theme they were going for, but it got stale really quick. The only other different area was the park district with its vegetation. It was okay, I didn't really care too much for it. I mean, there still was the city kind of looming in the background. I would also include the area with the snipers, everything kind of being like nighttime and a little bit more casual. I guess like it has that like downtown city theme to it, like Vegas kind of thing. Those levels were cool as well. But the enemy design was also okay. There were some interesting enemy types, but mainly just different sized robots, because that's pretty much all you're going against is the Russians with their robots. But this didn't really matter too much, because in the end of the gameplay it was really what gets you through, and the gameplay was really good. It was a lot of fun shooting. Another downside would be the AI though. This game was developed in 2010, so I can't really blame them too much for not having the most technologically advanced AI, but there were times the enemies would get stuck, or just keep repeating the same action regardless of me switching up my own behavior. It could definitely cause moments of frustration, especially with bosses. There was one boss where you fight the main dude, the Russian dude, in the beginning, and I just could not understand. I mean, maybe that was just on me, but that part was quite frustrating. But let's return back to more positive aspects of this game. The music was a blast, and fit very nicely. It didn't clash one bit and felt that of a movie score with the action that was going on. No complaint here? The story was not the most amazing thing ever, but it wasn't awful either. I liked the characters and their personalities. They weren't too memorable, but the whole government conspiracy bit with the Russians is always an American story classic. I give this game an 8.75. Although now a decade old, it is still a damn fine game. There's something about these arcade shooters that really connect with me. Maybe it's something in my childhood. Whatever it is, I really love this game, and it's unfortunate that Shinji Mikami has moved on to another studio. But regardless, I will definitely check out his next project, Ghostwire Tokyo. On to the next game. Playing through the first few missions of this game, I had hope. But after a few missions and a few deaths, I knew this wasn't going to be a game I finished. Grind. This game is a huge grind. And though some may like it, and at times I really do as well, there's just no way I saw myself finishing this game by that week. And so I had dropped it after playing the game a second time off stream and dying one last time. Games with harsh dying mechanics are not bad. I play Dark Souls, I play a lot of roguelikes, they're one of my favorite game genres to play. But for my streams, I cannot waste a whole month just trying to make progress on a game. Besides that though, what I did gather after 2 days of playing the game, well, I saw promise. This game is not bad by any stretch, nor did it have any initial glaring issues. It might be a little punishing, especially for those who tend to rush games, such as myself, but I will always recognize that this is never the game's fault. Pacing is one of my big 10 categories, but I often recognize that my pace is a special case. Not everyone's trying to get 10 games done in a month. So with that, well, I played a bit more on my own time, and want to definitely give the game a better perspective than just rage quitting after 2 days. So what can I say after playing more? It's hectic. I just think it can be often overwhelming. But that's of course subjective. I think if you're a big fan of games like Doom, which I am, but even this was too much for me, you might get a kick out of this. But as someone who is also a fan of the Doom series, this was just too much. Maybe it was the art design, the setting? I don't know. I can't necessarily say what it was, but it just wasn't doing it for me. I guess the enemy units of this game just being machines got old really quick. The theme that's carrying from the first game. It just didn't help with keeping me engaged. Like, I like unique enemies, and just having a bunch of robots to fight, it just feels like you're just busting through walls the whole time, you know? But anyways, on a positive note, it's charming. It's cheesy, and I won't give it, give too much flack for the writing. They had a lot of nice little like kooky characters that keep you company every now and then. Another positive is the music, which gives me some nice action-filled rock when fighting, and chill Spanish guitar akin to like StarCraft or like Diablo. More StarCraft because of the sci-fi setting. If you're just roaming the stage after clearing enemies, you definitely got to hear that awesome soundtrack. I gave this game a 6. Yeah, it may seem low, but it's still a decent game. If you want something to pass the time and just get a little crazy with a shooter, grab this game on sale. I hope these guys make some more games in the future. This is definitely a good start. Their game before this was Tower of Guns, which I have also played, and I know it's very similar to this game. I want them to continue if they aren't, because I think they got promise. This one definitely had personality, and I would like that to carry on. It seemed very similar to like Borderlands. It could be the next Borderlands if they played the cards right. But here's hoping that they continue. Ah, a classic. Look, I don't have really much to say about this game because it's just good. It's good. Just play it. Like, it's a Capcom classic. It's a Capcom jewel. Like, they have it on Steam, so I would say go get it. But anyways, yes, I was eager to play this, especially on Steam. Like, they had it, I bought it. I was like, oh, my lord, let's go. So playing through this short little blast from the past was fun like before, and it still holds all of its charm and engaging story. It's old but gold, and honestly, can't say much except the fact that once you know what you're doing, this game is a cakewalk. It really is, compared to when I was a kid and played this. I do remember this game being a lot tougher in the past, and my meta skills of my 2 decades of gaming have helped for sure, but even someone with a few tips and an understanding of the parry system and dodge mechanic, which I wish I understood from the beginning, because damn, you become broken after the fact, would easily complete this game. Does this make this game bad? Hell no. Though this game is pushed in a horror direction, it is entirely an action thriller akin to Devil May Cry, which in fact this game inspired. You're supposed to feel like the badass samurai who's granted the power to slay demons and have them all bend a knee to the ogre's champion. It's like having your bigger friend or relative show up to fight a bully who's been bugging you. It feels good. It's a little fun. Especially when you get back what you deserve. Weird objectifying analogy aside, I gave this game an 8. It doesn't of course satisfy everything and fulfill all my criteria of a perfect game, but it's still an amazing game deserving of this high score. Definitely grab this game if you're a fan of early Capcom games. Even if it's not on sale, please, grab it. It's good. Play it. This game was fun and exciting, even if I fell asleep on the snow level. As per usual, that's not the game's fault, it's just snow. Snow makes me sleepy, I don't know. But anyways, I was having a grand old time. It felt like an easy game, until it didn't. This game was another one I decided to drop, even after coming pretty close to the end. The jump in difficulty and insane punishment for losing all your lives was world-shaking. If you lose all your lives in this game, you must start from the beginning once again. I must have missed the fine print because once I realized this, it was too late. My progress resetted. 3 days of gameplay, gone. Besides this punch in the gut, this game was decently fun. A nice nod to ID's Hexen and Heretic series, or if you call them id. The people that made do, you know what I'm talking about. This game was quite a nice casual game to play through, until the 4th act. See, each act had a theme to it, from a medieval castle to an Arctic base as a reference to The Thing, an Egyptian temple led by an insane sphinx, and the 4th act. The 4th act. takes place in an industrial city, where every enemy before this act was mostly either melee, meat sponged, or projectile glass cannons, words. The fourth act is full of Satan's Stars team, except they ain't recruiting nothing. They're more like stacks, search team and kill services, and they are stacking bodies. Let me tell you, hit scans, grenaders, and mech tank sponges that fire missiles, and they are everywhere. And if you didn't understand anything I just said earlier, it's okay. I need to work on my writing. But anyways, I fared well until the penultimate stage, where at the top of the rooftop, you were assaulted by a gang of enemies. And when that happened, when that fun surprise happened, I was just like, okay, that was a pretty cheap death. But I'll keep trying. You know, honestly, like, I got through the act. The act wasn't that bad. The little difficulty spike, I was like, okay, that's fine. It wasn't until this overtuned boss that I had an issue with. And I looked up on forums, and everyone says that, you know, some people are complaining about it along with me, and others are just like, you just gotta get good. And I'm like, okay, you're right. I shouldn't be able to beat it on my first. I mean, if I didn't beat it on my first try, it's fine. I threw every single one of my lives at this boss. So they throw you into an arena with no cover, a bit of health, and a rampaging tank. But that would be fine if you didn't have all the enemies I mentioned earlier randomly spawning in each corner of this coverless kill box. And the forums seem to disagree with this and just say, like I said, get good, of course in a more helpful way. Thanks, guys. And so I kept trying until I ran out of lives. Yay. So that is where it all ended. Anyway, I ended up watching the rest of the game, and yeah, the difficulty increases by a lot towards the end, which to me expresses bad pacing. I gave this game a 6.5. It was overall pretty good, but nothing to gawk over. I'd recommend getting it on sale. Do you like bananas? How about bananas who tell you to kill people and take down your family business? On a skateboard? Well, if you answered yes to any of those questions, then my friend Pedro might just be the game for you. Impressions aside, my friend Pedro is a unique twin stick, fast-paced platform shooter. I would say it falls in the quick death category where you die and repeat very quickly, akin to things like Hotline Miami or Ghost Runner we played last year. With a decent art style and a fun, quirky world to shoot in, I'm actually sad that the game ended so sudden. It was a fun ride while it lasted, but it had to go. So what did I think about each of its aspects? Like I said, decent art, sound was good, and the writing was great. I mean, well, not great, but it was good. Not the best story in the world, but it kept you engaged and pushed you to keep moving forward. I had no issues on the technical side, and the design is really what carried the game. Being able to split your aim between targets definitely gives you that feeling of power, akin to John Wick, where you're dispatching tons of enemies within seconds. The gunplay being the bread and butter of the game is absolutely fantastic, and all the acrobatics to get through the obstacles is definitely an added bonus. I gave this game an 8.5. It was a definite blast of a game. I hope to see what else Dead Toast Entertainment has in store for the future. I didn't really have much to say about this game, but it's good. Definitely check it out. Do you hear that? The drums of war have called out to us, and they are saying, why aren't you subscribed to me yet? Like, what the hell? Go ahead, really quick, do that, right now. See that little button in the bottom? Do that, thanks. Now, the next game I had played was Halo Combat Evolved, a very popular classic. It was great to play this game again, especially with my bro Joe. We had a great time. So does it still hold up? Hell yeah, it does! Classic. But it did it right. Art has been updated after that anniversary edition. The music by Martin O'Donnell has always been the best, and the writing was always something that got people to crave more besides the multiplayer, of course. From the war between the Marines and Covenant to the Flood and the Sentinels' massive Halo rings. The world is alive, and it wants you to keep the fight going as much as we want Master Chief to finish the fight. The game's technical stability still works. I didn't have any issues that stopped me from enjoying the game. Of course, you know, the usual hijinks of Halo. Though the design of the Master Chief Collection, which is where I played it on Steam, was a little iffy in my opinion, the Halo 1 experience is still kept the same, and is always simple enough. And that was really my only gripe. Pacing can be a little weird, especially during the flood section, but engagement is of course really great. You could die hundreds of times on Legendary and still get up to keep trying. It was a game that defined a generation, like Doom before it. And with that, I gave this game a 9. And it was well deserved, one of the best shooters to ever exist, and I will definitely come back to play it once again, maybe in a decade from now. Thank you, Bungie. So I kind of cheated. I didn't play this game during Action April, but I finished this game this year and really wanted to talk about it. I also put it into foe and kind of used it as the foe for Action April, so I guess it kind of fits. I must say it has been one of the best games I've ever played this year. Of course, this was already well appreciated last year, but I must sing its praises. I believe I should just go down the list, and first we'll start with the art. The art is probably the thing I didn't care for the most out of everything. Of course, it's appealing and nice to look at, like don't get me wrong, I'm not, not crapping on the art at all. It just wasn't, I wasn't necessarily a big fan of the character designs. They were a little much and kind of reminded me of my issue with Battle Chef Brigade that I reviewed earlier. Another great game, but everyone just looks like they got attitude and sass, or they're like overly kind. They just look like they're all the same person in a sense, with just like a different emotion, increased, I guess you could say. It just shows me that the person doesn't understand how people work. Like a lot of people are different. They're not just bad, they're not just good. There's just so much gray area in between that you can't, I see that in a lot of games and it really bothers me, and this game I feel like suffers from it as well. Everyone is kind of just the gray. There's no gray area. I really don't think there's a gray area. But anyways, enough of that. Like I said, they look like everyone got attitude and sass, or they rebelled against their parents, or the first people to get into eating avocado on toast. I don't know. Hipsters. They all look like hipsters, that's what I'm trying to say. A personal gripe, but it was far from stopping me from enjoying this game. I will not knock the score down because of this. The art was still phenomenal, and that is also a double for the design of the game. Menus are clean, and I had no issue navigating through. The music and voice acting was impressive, along with a classical take on the Greek stories of before, with a new twist as you play the son of Hades and Persephone. All of this wrapped in a very enticing package. There are no technical issues in this game either, which is surprising with how free you move in the game. I personally never had a game-breaking bug, or even a small inconvenience bug, and that further pushed me to keep playing this game till the end. But what exactly do you do in this game? Well, it's a roguelite, which is a genre of rogue games where you must start over each time you fail. But in light versions, you usually get stronger or more rewards after each playthrough that will carry you into each attempt. But in this game, it even challenges you to finish it multiple times in order to witness the entire story, and there's so many things to unlock and accomplish. On top of that, there are a good amount of challenges to accomplish in order to further strengthen your character Zagreus, so that you can do it all again. It's a loop that eventually will make you feel that you've had enough, but it was definitely a satisfying loop. Then there's the pacing, which again is good enough, where I don't have any issues of things being too hard or too easy. Agency is probably the thing I must say isn't the best, but isn't terrible by any means. There are plenty of choices of weapons and gods in order to accomplish your goal, but I have to knock it down only because they put incentives for you to use specific weapons in order to get better rewards, which is cool, but I'm kind of indifferent to this. I've seen other games do it, and I just think the objective doesn't help agency. What I think was great agency was giving people the ability to adjust their own challenges and help out though. I don't have to say anything about engagement. It hooked me for an entire month, playing almost all day. It was nothing but engaging. And lastly, slightly innovative, but it still got the game to a 9.5. An absolutely stunning game. Can't recommend it enough. Well, that's it. Action April is done. Another month of review out of the way. Moving on to May. Oh boy. I can do this. Let's hope I can catch up. But honestly, at this rate, I might be here for a bit. But I'll keep working on this so I eventually finish 2021's reviews. But hope you guys enjoyed. You take care, and I'll see you when I see you.